What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Starsiege Deadzone video. In this video, I'm going to be sharing my first impressions and feedback thus far in the Steam Nextfest Starsiege Deadzone demo. It's currently Thursday, June 22nd. I have 44 points. I'm going to rapidly burst through to any devs that happen to stumble upon this video. What's going on? I'm going to try to be as respectful as possible, and maybe some of these changes will pique your interest. So number one, I don't think armor should be given through progression. I think it should be only crafted. Why? It basically eliminated the need to have white gear for me, because you just got all of your sets all the way up to basically full purple. I just had to keep playing the game. So I think it takes away a lot of that grind. I think it would have been much stronger to have like price points keep people at a certain tier, at a certain level. I think making that more drawn out, so that like purple armor, legendary armor, exotic armor is so fucking hard to craft, so expensive. The more you make that this like epic level of achievement that causes you to invest a lot of time and energy, the more rewarding it's going to be. And you also create these higher brackets which allow players to like sort themselves into. And if you use this in combination with the gear score, then you're also preventing, the players that invest more time and energy into the games getting the gear faster and just stomping everybody in white armor. I think that needs to be fixed. I think that has to be addressed. It is so not fun going against other players that are overgeared. One of my favorite games, I'll keep using this as a point, Hunt Showdown. Everybody has the same amount of health. There's no way to boost the health. There's no shields. There's none of that. Now, I like the aspect of shields. I like health. I like the different stat changes. It's fun. What's not fun is going against overgeared players. It sucks. It's the worst. It's like, oh, there's nothing I can really do here. I'm just going to get fucking melted. They have more HP. Their guns are better. It's too overwhelming of an advantage, especially if you're going against multiple players. So I think if you make it so, maps are chained to a certain gear score, that would be much stronger, and maybe I'll talk about that here in a little bit in greater detail. But the main point for this one is spread out the armor. So to get white armor, full white armor, it's going to take 30,000 credits for one piece. As a random example, right? Maybe don't use that exact metric, but as a random example, so that when I finally get all of my full white armor, it's like, fuck, I got my whole set, like, yes. And now the next tier up is like, all right, now everything for green is like 90,000 credits per piece. And then, 160,000 credits for blue. And then, like, just make it a much longer grind so that it's more rewarding to get a full complete set of armor, because you don't lose it. And yeah, I think that there's just a missed opportunity there of not having more of a sense of achievement. Next, map levels shouldn't be forced upon you. You should be able to go into a map with the skill level you're comfortable with, so you're not being smashed by other super geared players. This ties in with my earlier point I was alluding to. Have a gear cap for each map. One example, white and green armor weapons only for level 1, map 1. Green-blue weapons armor for level 2, map 2. Blue-purple armor weapons for map 3, level 3. Legendary exotic weapons armor for level 4. And, you also have crafting materials. I don't know if that should also be capped to the certain maps. Maybe have it splash a little bit, but make the rarity much rarer for the earlier map. So you can get a legendary, valuable or crafting item at level 1, but it's like super, super rare. But it's still possible. So when you do find one, you're like, holy fucking shit. Like, I think those moments should be in there because they're fun. But yeah. And in this way, you can choose like what type of fight you want to have. Like, do you want this fucking insane long, like, epic thing? And especially by going into like the level 4 map, fighting exotic legendary players, which makes it more rewarding, because it's like, okay, if you're also scaling the price of armor, and the time it takes to actually get the armor, then it's like, shit, if you kill somebody for exotic, like, you just got like so much money and shit for their guns, let's say. The main point though is that each map should have its own tier, so you can pick, okay, maybe I just want to bring my green or white armor in to the first level, you know, and not have these really intense drawn out engagements. I want a much more manageable PvP experience so that the guns are not melting me so quick. Next, you should be able to scrap armor or weapons for some of their original materials. In this way, you know, you can get specific materials without having to spend all this fucking time hunting for materials. It's reducing that grind. That aspect of the grind does not feel that fun. You know, being able to take some weapons out that I don't use, like a sniper rifle or something, or a shotgun, and scrapping it, or other armor, let's say. Right? Maybe I craft armor and it gives me like 3 acoustic, and I'm like, I fucking hate acoustic, or 3 trapper, right? It's like, I don't want to use that. So let me at least scrap it instead of selling it to then get some of the materials to try to craft another one again, but have it be much easier, much faster. Next, reduce rocket launcher AI spawn rate. The second and third maps, the third map especially, but both of them just have way too many of these AI. Sometimes there's like 5 in a room. It's like insane. It's super annoying. They're really tanky. They shoot these fucking grenades. It's just a pain in the ass. Deals so much damage to you. Please reduce the spawn rate. Next, the relocate perk, or add a relocate perk to grant either invulnerability when you actually use it, so that when I open it and then I click to relocate, to teleport, it should then make me invulnerable. Or just make it faster, make it instantaneous, have a perk that does that. Because so often when I try to use that to escape, I'm getting killed because it takes like 2 seconds for me to actually fucking teleport. Very annoying, very frustrating. Next, have a perk that lets you reload the minigun faster. It's primarily an AI weapon. Yes, you can use it in PvP, but it's very heavy, it's very clunky. I think it would just be a nice quality of life enhancement, but it's not going to be so devastating against, like, it's not going to hamper the PvP experience, I don't think, a ton. I don't see, you know, there being a minigun meta. And hey, if you're worried about that, just decrease the amount of damage it does to players and increase the damage it does to AI. So you're bringing it in exclusively just to wipe AI from the map. Next, ability to pin, or the, you know, I don't know if this would be a UI change or addition. I don't know if that's correct terminology, but have some way to pin an armor piece or weapon, and not just one, but like multiple, that you're trying to craft. So when you're looting items in game, the item is highlighted, and if you mouse over it, it'll show you need this for your purple head or fucking helmet, or for this purple, you know, LMG you're crafting. And have it display in your HUD somewhere on the side when you're actually in the game, so it shows you what crafting materials you want for what item. And show the gear tier, right? The gear rarity. Like, this is for purple, this is for exotic. You know, you need these components for this. That would be really, really nice. Quality of life improvement. Next, the stash is extremely overfilled, and it's annoying. It would be nice to have a better way to sort your stuff, to store your stuff, or make it automatically store crafting materials and just give people one small stash to manage all your weapons and stuff. That's another way of handling that. Like, make it so you don't have to hoard crafting materials. It just automatically gets sorted into an infinite stash, so you can hold as many as you want, or maybe cap it to, like, you know, 50 of one type of material, so you can't just have like infinite amounts. But that would be one way of addressing this. However, the previous suggestion of being able to track what items you want, have that highlighted, and have it also be highlighted in your stash. So when you look at your stash, it shows what items are highlighted for what you want. Maybe having a crafting progression, so that you go, okay, I want to eventually get to legendary armor, so only highlight all the materials that I need to get every piece of armor all the way up to legendary. So maybe I want to go up the chain of I want to get a purple and then a legendary, but it's in a progression. So it's going to include like the total amount of materials for both of those pieces. And that would be a way of solving this, because then you're like, okay, if it's highlighted in the stash, it's showing me that I don't need to keep all of these excess materials because they have nothing to do with what I want. I think that would also pretty much take care of this whole issue of having just so many fucking things in your stash and not knowing what's what without writing them down, without looking at them. Like, that's a lot of work that I just don't want to do. Next, allow us to ready up when we're playing with friends, teammates, and show the party leader like a little check mark showing who's ready, so that I can just look and have an audible cue, because sometimes we're waiting for our teammates to like buy their items and stuff after a match before they're ready, and we're like looking at our phone or something. Have an audible cue that goes, hey, a ding, something, or like, one party member is ready, 2 party members are ready, some AI voice, so we know, okay, cool, everyone's ready. There's a visual indicator, there's also an audible indicator, so that we can start. Because sometimes there's a lot of moments where everybody's ready, nobody's saying anything, and then you're like, so you guys ready? And they're like, oh yeah, we're all ready, and you're like, okay, cool, let's go. So to eliminate that time wasting. Next, perk to make the pulse rifle reload faster, because it's so fucking slow to reload that short mag currently. And it's not great for PvP. The velocity of the projectiles are so slow, so I think this would be a nice quality of life improvement just to help clear AI. Next, be able to search your stash for items by typing the name of the item. That would be a nice quality of life improvement. Next, perk to use map-wide scanner but your cooldown is is increased by 50%. So when you use the scanner, it scans the entire map, highlights everybody through walls, but your scan is increased by 50%. So that's the trade-off. You can see everybody on the map, but you have to wait a while, and maybe even increase it more than 50%. I don't know. Tweak with the balancing. Next, perk to tag enemies with scan for 5 seconds once you break their shield. That'd be kind of nice. So you break someone's shield, you get a free scan on them, rewards you for getting that damage in, and you can track them. Next, trapper ability. Once activated, applies to your next door. You can use the ability again to disable it, so you're not just stuck and you have to use it. You can disable it if you want. But what this trapper ability would do is that it makes the next door you close take twice as long to open once you close it. Why is this useful? And also, maybe even in addition to that, hold on a second, I'm writing this down. Speed up closing speed by 20%. And maybe even fuck around with that. Maybe make that 30%, 40%. And it makes the next door you close take twice as long. This is useful for getting away from enemies. So you get really fucked up by an enemy, you retreat, go behind a door, close the door, you use the ability to close it faster, and now it takes longer for anybody to open that door again. Twice as long. So that's going to buy you time to run away, get your shields, reset to try to have another engagement with that person. And maybe this time, the odds tilt in your favor. Enemies opening this door also take a small amount of damage to their health and shields. So you get a little free bit of chip damage. Nothing crazy, okay? I don't want half their life, or even a fourth of their life. It's got to be just very minimal, 20, 30 points, something small, or maybe make it percentage based, right? 5% of your total health and shields get eliminated. Something small, little bit of chip damage. You can have perks that go with this ability to make it take an additional 25% longer to open, but your cooldown increases by 30% or more. Again, tweak with the ratios, the actual percentages here. Perk to increase the damage, that chip damage they get by them opening it by 10%, 15%. Again, mess around with the ratio. Perk to apply fire damage or poison damage or shock damage. Or maybe the perk just applies a random one. So you booby trap the door. And perhaps give the option so it's not guaranteed damage. Maybe enemy players get a little indicator that the door has been trapped, so that they can open it without taking the damage. However, it takes maybe an extra 50% or something like that. So, or maybe they get to open it faster, but then they take a little bit of that chip damage. So yes, they can bypass the whole opening, bypass a portion of the long duration it takes to open a door, but they take a little bit of damage, or they just wait a hell of a long time, but they open it and they disarm the trap so that they take no damage, but it takes a long time to do that. I think that would be cool. Next, a recon ability that disables using weapons, your weapons. So when you use the ability, you can't shoot, but you blend in with the environment, and you can't move as well. So you can't shoot, you can't move, but you become invisible to players and AI until you move again. So you can move whenever you want, but while you're using this ability, but if you do move, it cancels the ability. However, if you stay completely still, you become invisible. It would be nice if it has a long duration or an infinite duration. If you move again, you cannot instantly use your weapons. You have to wait 6 seconds, tweak around with that amount before you can use your weapons again, or like grenades. This is to prevent using it to like cheese people. It's not meant to be an ability that like lets you get the drop on people and like fucking just melt them because they walked right past you and now you're behind them. That's not what this ability is for. This ability is to help people avoid combat. If you're just trying to get materials, like have a stealth build, this is what that's used for. Okay? Being stealthy, avoiding combat, making that something that is viable could be fun. It's like its own playstyle. That could be cool. Next, perk to trigger phase shift before you sustain lethal damage automatically to guarantee you escaping. So, what this perk would do is when you're in a combat situation, you're fighting another player. Let's say you're at the opposite end of a corridor. They're peeking like from the top of a stairwell right behind a door, and you just take a lot of damage. And normally, you gotta be very quick when you get melted by a guy with a really good gun. You gotta quickly tap that button to proc your phase shift. Sometimes you're not able to do it. You just die. This perk would guarantee you to pop phase shift when you get to 20, 30 health. And that would be cool. Next, a recon ability to quiet your footsteps and increase your speed, but again, the trade-off is it prevents you from using weapons for 5 seconds. And while using the ability, you can't shoot your gun. This is only used to escape or to traverse the map quietly. So it allows you to have an increased speed and quiet to quickly escape a situation or get into an engagement, but not really to get into engagement because you can't use your guns for 5 seconds afterward. So you're using it to catch up to somebody and then slowly stalk them by maybe crouching and trying to get the drop on them. Or running away, or just, if you see a player, you're trying to avoid them. So maybe you take this in combination with the other recon ability I suggested, where you turn invisible basically when you stay still. That way you can run away, hide. It makes that playstyle very, very viable without having you be able to just melt people by abusing stealth. Next, an ability to mute your gunfire for 30 seconds. Then perks to reduce the cooldown and perks to increase the duration. And maybe make that muting of your gunfire to people outside of a certain radius by more. Maybe do it for 60 seconds. I don't know. Play around with that. But just another kind of cool stealth ability. So I don't know if it would be good enough to compete with the other abilities. Something fun, interesting I just thought of. Maybe it would be viable. But it's just an option, right? So your guns wouldn't make noise for a certain amount of time outside of a certain radius. So obviously if you're fighting somebody in the same corridor, they're going to be able to hear you, but this would prevent people outside of that from hearing anything. Again, I don't know if that's enough. I don't know if how far weapon noise carries. I don't know if this would be enough to warrant an actual ability in the work that goes into creating an ability. So take that one with a grain of salt. Next, dramatically speed up phase shift speed boost so people can actually close the distance or get the fuck away from people. Every time I see phase shift being used, the only times it's good is if you're at the end of a corridor and you guys are fighting, two teams, opposite end of the corridors. Someone takes lethal damage, almost lethal damage. They pop phase shift to get away, ensure that they don't get melted. It's like protection. Or they use it because you can pop it to get out whenever you want. You can use it again to just exit phase shift whenever you want. So you can basically push somebody, have them fire at you. So peek around a corner, push somebody, they start shooting you, take a little bit of damage, you pop phase shift, and after they fire some more, they have to reload. You pop out of phase shift as they're reloading, and you fucking melt them. There's a good chance you kill them. But a lot of the time, I see people using phase shift to try to get away once they take lethal damage. It would actually be cool if you could do that. But they don't. They just pop phase shift, even if they have a speed boost perk. They can't move away fast enough. Then they come out of phase shift, and they just die. I would like that to stop. So speed up phase shift. Yeah, please. Next, Trapper Mastery bonus to cause 100 damage to any enemies looting your death chest in-game. I think having one of the Trapper tiers give that, or have it be a Trapper perk, so that people looting your death chest take 100 damage, or have it be a percentage of their total shields and health in damage would be nice. To get your revenge. Maybe you instantly kill them if they drop real low and then they want to loot your body real quick. You punish them for that. So it has the potential to do lethal damage, right? So it's not like a percentage of their total remaining health. It's a total of their entire health as damage to their shields and health. Next, ability to make your projectiles shoot through one layer of walls for 8 seconds. And then a perk to reduce the cooldown. So a way to have your projectiles travel through walls. And maybe 8 seconds is way too long. Maybe make that, a couple seconds. I don't know. But have an ability to spray through the wall. Could be cool. Next, a perk to make your flashlight tag enemies with scan for 2 seconds if your flashlight hits them. Could be cool. Next, a Trapper Mastery bonus to reveal enemies marked by traps. It currently does that, but it sucks. So I think it should have a 10-second scan applied to people who hit traps. It should be a very, very punishing thing to hit a trap. It already is because traps got buffed. But these people who get marked for 10 seconds when they hit a trap can be seen through the entire map, through all collision, at any distance, and have a directional arrow on your HUD pointing to where they are, plus an audible cue saying that a player has tripped a mine. Like your AI, your suit tells you hey, someone's tripped a mine. It shows an arrow pointing to where they are, and then you can see them through the entire map. That could be cool. So you're getting information. Next, a Trapper ability to arm a tripwire you mark with your crosshair to automatically detonate when enemies are near it. For reduced damage, because it's automatically happening. There's nothing they can do about it. So maybe 30% reduced damage. But then you should have a perk that makes it deal normal damage. So it kind of cancels that out. But you're eating up a perk slot in order to do that. Next, phase shift should let you move through objects. And jumping should be instant while you're in phase shift with no gravity applied. So you're just jumping up and falling at regular, speed that you would fall if you're on Earth. So this way, you're able to escape through a closed door, let's say, and other players can't track you unless they pop their own phase shift. Allows you to get away, maybe go through a container or series of containers and then unphase shift. A lot of ways to use it to engage and disengage to make that more valuable and more viable. Next, a medic ability, maybe called Stim Pack, increases your ADS speed by 15%, your ADS movement by 15%, and your movement speed by 100% in exchange for 25% of your maximum health and shields. and maybe play around with that number. You can use it as many times as you want. No cooldown, but you can kill yourself by doing it. You can reduce, or you can give up your life and shields a bunch of times to basically cause you to die. And then maybe have perks that go with it to reduce the HP cost by like 10% and increase the movement speed by 15%. Now, you'd have to get a really nice balance with this because it could quickly be overpowered. You would essentially want to use it to give you like a slight edge, so maybe tweak the 15% ADS speed and ADS movement if 15% is too much. And the movement speed, you basically want to use this to give you a slight edge in combat, but mainly to get away or to close the distance, to finish off somebody who's really weakened that you just like completely dominated and they're like running away or something, and you're like, okay, pop my stim pack, pop my stim, chase them down, finish the job. Or you are getting like really fucked up and you need to get away, so then you use it to run away basically. Maybe change the maximum health and shields that you're giving up, the 25% of your maximum, to your current. So whatever your current is, 25% of that. So in that way, you can't actually die. Or you can only do that up to a certain point. So that, like, if you have 15 health, you can't then use your stim pack to then drop down to, whatever 25% of 15 is, 13 health. Like, at some point, you just can't use it anymore because you don't have enough total health in life to warrant a usage of the ability. So that way, if you get really, really low, you can use it, or just make it actually have a cooldown. So in that way, yeah, you can use it if you have 10 health left to drop down to like 5 health to get a massive speed boost to like get away and try to reset. Maybe you get that speed boost and ADS speed, movement speed, for like a long time. Maybe it's like 10 seconds or something crazy, to help you get away. But it's like a really long cooldown. Play around with that. But I think that could be a cool ability. Next, perk to reduce poison, fire, and shock damage by 25%. Next, perk to reduce or to increase your falling speed by 100%. So that you use your jetpack and you're not like floating in the air for 50 years before you touch the ground, but you actually fall like much, much faster. Next, a perk to control the direction of your jump while in midair. So you could use this with the other perk I just suggested to increase your falling speed, so that you jump and then you can jump. For instance, you're behind a wall fighting another person. You can like jump peek. So you jump to the right and then you can pull back to just get like a little peek of where they are to get some information, but then go back to your spot without having them like melt you because you jumped and you couldn't control the direction, so you were forced to go right until you touched the ground and you were floating for 500 years and they just killed you. Those would be cool perks. Next, a hacker perk. So you need hacker mastery. Maybe not the full 3 tiers to use it. Maybe only 1 tier, maybe 2 tiers. Maybe play around with that. But the perk would make you invisible to AI unless you attack them. But you need, some mastery. So it's not like a hacker mastery bonus. It's a perk that you get access to by having, a mastery. So it allows you to build out other hacker builds by having good hacker armor, or hacker masteries on your armor. So fully makes you invisible to AI unless you attack them first. So you could just be like completely moving throughout the entire map, stealth the fuck out. Hacker perk to make terminal access that you use. I think you need the 2nd tier mastery to have terminal access, I believe. Maybe it's just the one, I can't really remember. But basically, it makes terminals cause enemies across the entire map to be scanned for 8 seconds to you at any distance and for your team through all walls. So for 8 seconds, use a terminal. Boom, you see everybody on the map for 8 seconds. Next, a hacker perk to cause the terminal to make all AI friendly to you and your team permanently unless attacked. A medic ability to put down a beacon that automatically uses up your shield and health packs for you and your team. It uses them 10% faster, but only if enemies are not nearby. So like after you have this big fight, you pop the beacon down, and it automatically uses up your packs, shield and health packs, same time maybe, for while you're in its radius, while you're in the circle around the beacon. And it doesn't take an animation. So like you guys, you kill everybody, you go to their loot boxes, their death boxes, pop this beacon, it slowly recharges everybody's shields passively while you get to loot or readjust, and you don't have to be stuck in that animation, and it's happening a little bit faster. Could be a cool ability. Next, a hacker perk that causes enemy scans to see multiple enemies around you at once, moving in different directions, or maybe them all looking towards the person who just scanned to make it even like more like, oh shit, like how many people are actually over there. And it makes a bunch of radar dots appear on their minimap. But maybe not that one, because maybe then it would give it away. But maybe that would also be good. Play around with that. Could be a cool little perk slot, so that it's passive. It's passively happening. Every time they scan you, they see just multiple people. Kind of cancels out their ability. Next, a perk to make your regular decoys highlight enemies with scan for 5 seconds. And maybe tweak that. Maybe it's 3 seconds. Maybe it's 2 seconds. I don't know. But it highlights enemies with a scan for a certain amount of time while they're in their vision. And after they leave their vision, it applies that for 2 seconds. So while you use your decoy, it runs out. Anybody in its field of view gets scanned. It's a permanent scan while it's in their field of view. Once they leave their field of view, they continue to be scanned for like 2-3 seconds. Maybe 5 seconds is too much. I don't know. Maybe it's not. Then have a perk that causes the decoys to seek out enemy players first, then AI. Have a perk to cause decoys to attract AI to attack them instead of you. And the decoy has 200% more health. But the decoy expire timer resets every time it takes damage. So I don't know how long it lasts. Maybe it only lasts for 5 seconds, but it has 200% more health. So it continues to stay active, even if it goes past its duration, because it resets every time it takes damage, until it loses all of its health and then it dies. So it's a way to have it basically be a meat sponge for AI. Or like a homing beacon, right? To show you where enemies are, because it'll seek them out. If they see them, right? It can't see them through walls or anything like that. If it's in the field of vision, it'll start to follow that player and go to the last known location that it saw them last. And then maybe have another perk that causes an AoE explosion once the decoy takes enough damage to die, or once it expires, and it deals damage to AI and maybe a little bit of shield damage to players. Next, add a nemesis mechanic, where you can look at enemies who kill you at the end of a match, or when they kill you, it shows that killed by screen. You can there's a button that says, make this person my nemesis. Then their name gets a special tag and a color in the death chat forever. Like they're now your permanent nemesis. Every time you see them kill somebody in the death chat, on the right-hand side when you're in a match, it says, oh, they killed player with whatever weapon. They would have a different color and a little icon next to their name showing that this is your nemesis. Or maybe it would say nemesis in brackets and then the player's name in a different color. And it would notify you, hey, your nemesis killed this person, with like a visual HUD flash or audio cue. This would be cool because every time they kill you, they would get a bounty applied of 10,000 credits plus a random equipment, armor, or weapon. And that tier would be upgraded. So maybe it would be like a really rare weapon. Like maybe it starts with blue and then goes to purple and then goes to legendary at certain tier levels. So every time they kill you, they get a bounty of 10,000 the first time they kill you, then 25,000 the next time they kill you, then 50,000 the next time they kill you, 75, then 100,000, and then it's like capped at 100,000. And you also get increasing, like the loot you get is upgraded. So you get one, and then you get maybe two. You get one piece of equipment, random armor piece, weapon piece, equipment piece at 10,000, then that jumps to 2 pieces at 50,000, then 3 pieces at 100,000. So like every other level of bounty, you get better gear and more of that better gear, and then it gets capped at that. And you know, mess around with the amount of credits, mess around with how many pieces of gear. You can be the judge of that. But basically, it allows you to have a really epic moment when you finally kill this person that's just been killing you. Maybe it's like you're, you know, a Twitch streamer that just keeps destroying you, and finally you get to kill them, and you get this massive reward from that. And I think that would be a cool feature. Or like if you just encounter the, you know, a guy in game, and he just always kills you, and you finally get the upper hand on him. It would just be fun. It would just be a fun little thing to have. Next, add a private coliseum to have practiced PvP fights. 1 versus 1, 2 versus 2, 3 versus 3, 1 versus 2, like any combination with, you know, everybody being able to use any weapons, any items, any abilities, any armor with any armor masteries. Like you fully have complete control of anything you want to use to bring in to practice having PvP engagements, to practice, you know, leveling up your abilities on like a small, you know, area of the map or a couple corridors of the map. That could be amazing. Next, have a dome shield perk that prevents enemies from entering it. Next, heavy mastery should change because currently it's not really, like, it doesn't give you any skill. It just gives you a very, very powerful benefits across the board that you only need to get RNG for. And that doesn't really feel good because everybody else who doesn't have it just basically has a pretty bad disadvantage. And it forces everybody to go into a certain meta, which is kind of annoying. All playstyles should be viable, should be valid, and it should be either be fun or like, you know, an interesting way to play. Like a different way to be tactical about how you make your build. Really, what wins engagements should come down to your gunplay, your movement, and then how you use your abilities. Not just these like across the board big bonuses that require no skill. That you just get this bonus. Like that feels very cheap and doesn't really feel very fun. So I think if you rework the mastery, you could do something like this. The first mastery tier, instead of giving you bonus to your what is it, your fucking health, your shields. I think it's just health first, and then it's your shields next. Instead of giving that bonus, it gives you reduced projectile and melee damage, reduces it by 50% from AI. Then the next tier reduces damage from explosives, like those grenade launcher fucking AI guys that are really beefy, reduces that by 50%. Or the drones that launch those very slow moving, like purple projectiles that explode and take out like all your fucking shields, reduces the damage by that by half. And then the third tier grants overshield, but this overshield ability is now reworked to cause you to take no damage from AI for, you know, 15 seconds, 30 seconds. So in this way, you're basically becoming a tank to AI and not just like a tank to everybody. So it's eliminating everybody going fucking heavy and encouraging to have other builds to, you know, to play around with. It's an overwhelming advantage to have increased shields and the overshield ability. It's just not fun. Tweak that so it's encouraging people to build out other things that are fun or interesting and not just having everybody go to this meta. Maybe make dome shield be tied to having, you know, heavy. And hey, maybe also grant, you know, different mastery levels for different mastery abilities. I don't know if, because like if you're gonna tie dome to you need heavy armor mastery to like be able to use dome as a requirement. Maybe it shouldn't be like tier 3 mastery, right? Like maybe have different abilities require different level of masteries. I don't know, but that's for overshield, right? Like that change that to just take no damage from AI for a certain amount of time. Next, remove the combat decoy. Super frustrating, super annoying, very powerful, very OP, not fun. It's just too powerful, and it's just Like, it's kind of game breaking, actually. Next, acoustics mastery rework, and this is the last point I have. Tier 1, because acoustics currently is just like not worth building a whole loadout around. Tier 1 enemy gunshots appear on minimap as different color dots for while they're shooting, and maybe it remains and then slowly fades for a couple seconds after they get done shooting. Tier 2 enemies firing near you have scan applied to them while they shoot and for 2 seconds after they stop shooting while they're nearby, within a large radius. Tier 3 gives access to advanced recon abilities. So not just the one that you currently have, which is stealth, but the other ones as well that I've mentioned earlier. The recon abilities like, sitting still, not being able to shoot, but you being invisible forever or for an extremely long duration, you get access to those. So those are some ideas. That's my feedback. Those are my first impressions for the game during this Steamfest, Nextfest. It's fun. I'm having a lot of fun, but those are the things I've noticed that I would like added or changed or completely removed that are just making the game not fun. Yeah, I'm still loving the game. So thanks for taking the time to listen to this. For any devs out there, hope some of these resonate with you and they get added to the game, reworked, changed. Things get removed that I've suggested that are game breaking or just not fun. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this or watch this if you've gotten this far. And for everybody else, I'd love to hear which of these suggestions resonated the most with you, which ones you don't agree with, and why, and maybe hear some of your own suggestions that you have for the game. Comment that below. And with that being said, thank you so much for watching this video. I will see you in the next one.